Hey guys, Dib the Awesome here to give you a review ban list video for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. This is of June 2018, June 2018, I do believe, and today we're going to go over the recent ban list. Obviously, if you're looking this into the way future where some of these cards aren't even on a ban list anymore, what have you, just know in this current time in this video, these bans are really, really, really important. So first up, we got the limited to 1 on Massive Morph. Now, in this game, if you are on the limited, like if you're on a limited list, it doesn't mean like in the TCG where you can only run 2 copies of that specific card. If you run like any semi-limited card, you can only run, like let's say 2, let's say the semi-limit is 2, you can only run 2 cards in the semi-limit, which means you could only run 1 Secret Pass, and let's say you're running 2 different cards like a Secret Pass and Assault Armor, you can only have 1 copy, and that, like 1 copy of both of those cards, and that's it. You can't have any more, you can't have duplicates, what have you. It's different than the actual TCG logic. It's different. So when you're on semi-limited, odds are you're probably only going to run 1 copy of said card if you're running 2 different semi-limited, in terms of 2 cards only. So if you're in the semi-limited 1, that means you can only ever run 1 card that's in the semi-limited list, and this is nerfed at 1. Right now, at the moment, I don't think the semi-limited 1 is that big of a deal because there's not many cards in semi-limited 1 right now at the moment. Like before this current one, which I think is the most relevant, like I'd say this is the hugest nerf ever, like period. Like there's not too many cards in semi-limited 1. But nonetheless, this is a huge semi-limited, this is a huge nerf to stall decks, because basically what Massive Morph allowed you to do, it basically made your opponent brick the field because they can't attack you directly. It does double their attack power, but you cannot attack directly, and with stalled decks, they're usually going to be in defense position, they're going to usually run defense position monsters that kind of drain your deck, so it never really mattered. And it was just more so used to keep stalling for time. If the opponent had used like a tribute summoned and tried to attack you, you proc this, and now it's just a worthless card. That's the power of this card, and now that's limited to 1. A lot of people are saying stall decks are just dead. I think you just need to look for a better, an alternative now that this is 1. You could probably still run it, but it just means you won't be able to cheese the field and seal it, lock it down, pop it, lock it, put it in your pocket. It just means you gotta look for different alternatives. Now we're going to the semi-limited 2. Secret Pass into the Treasury. This was hit with 2, regular 2 max, so it's semi-limited. This was apparently used in Silent Magician decks. I actually never came across this in any of my Silent Magician fights, but apparently it was really, really relevant in the ranking aspect of the World Cup. So once you hit the max on the duel level, you start seeing this. But I never hit max, so because I got tired of fighting like Sylvans and like Amazons, because they're really just bullshit decks, and they did get hit hard in this ban list, and this is why it's so important. But yeah, a lot of people were using this in their not Silent Magician, the spell books. That's what I meant. Have I been saying Silent Magician? I meant spell books. A lot of people use this in spell books, and or Silent. Oh yeah, Silent. No, it's not Silent Magician. Silent Warrior. I'm sorry. A lot of people were using this in Silent Warrior, not spell books. Yeah, but Silent Warriors. That's completely my bad. But yeah, this has been limited to now, and you won't be seeing a whole lot of that specific play for that deck, but I think the deck was still viable. They are limiting Assault Armor, which allowed a warrior type monster. You can send the card to the graveyard and it can attack twice that turn. I think it's an interesting card. I don't really have it. This was also used in Silent Warrior decks. Which means if you run both of these now, you can only have one of each in the deck if you're running that combo. which seems like there's a less likely chance now to even proc that combo. So yeah, they just nerfed a specific aspect of the combo. Enemy controller's finally been hit with semi-limited. I'm really happy about this. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really happy to see this actually in semi-limited. And for those that don't think this was that big of a card, like, oh, that 3 was fine. No, it wasn't. That's a lie. That's a dirty lie. It's always been a really powerful card. Always just ended the game quickly, or it wasn't actually proful. It's like there's no skill with enemy controllers, like none. There's zero skill. Oh, but Div, people run it in meta decks. That has to mean it's good. No, it's cheese. It's easy. People use it because it's a great. It's too good of a card. It's like cheese. It's like running. Like if you keep track of my Monster Legends videos, it's kind of like Voltic. It's cheap. It's cheesy. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I only ever have one copy, and I think running one is the fairest thing ever. So, yeah, I think I'm happy to see this at semi-limit now, because for those high meta decks, they can't just run 3 econs. They have to probably run like, well, if it's a Cyber Angel deck, odds are they can only run 1. And if they're running any of the support for that deck, like the specific support, then they have to run, they can only run 2. 3 was just too powerful, in all honesty, with econ. Econ's just way too good. It's too universal. I've kind of been talking about it, like in terms of YouTube groups. I would always bring it up in a discussion. But I always just found it was just too cheesy of a card. It was too easy to win games. I think now there will be a lot more plays on the field where you can, like Gem Knights, for example, you can do the particle fusion with more ease. Like it's going to be less likely to see econ or enemy controller. So I think that's nice. I'm glad to see this at 2. Cup of Ace got limited to 2. This was meant to nerf stall decks continuously. So they hit Cup of Ace, they've hit Hero Shadow Scout, and Massive Moist for the stall nerfs. This was a pretty good card, I'm not gonna lie. Either or situation, in terms of the aspect of a stalled deck, even if you didn't get the draw, that was still working towards your goal. You were still milling their deck. I think Worm by itself now, with support cards like Powerful Rebirth, I think it can just function on its own. I don't think Cup of Ace or Hero Scout's really needed for mill decks anymore. Or at least, like, it's not too big of an impact. You could run other cards for stalling and or milling. Because there's a lot of support cards that can just bring the Worm back, and you can just keep milling cards. The nice thing about Worm is it doesn't add to your opponent's hand. The number one problem with Hero Shadow Scout, if they drew a monster, they get that in the hand. So that basically meant that they had more resources to kill you with. And that's really, really bad. I don't see this, this Hero Scout as big of a nerf. Or like, because I still think Worm by itself is just better. True, you could discard like the enemy's spell cards, but I just hated adding cards to the opponent's hand whenever I used Hero Scout. For me, in terms of stall decks, I don't like this all too much. I never liked heroes. No, not heroes. Not the archetype. I mean, like Shadow Scout. I never really liked running Shadow Scout, just because of that aspect. I guess this was needed for a nerf. Rose Lover and Sylvan Marshall Leaf got on the semi-limited list. I'm happy for this. This wasn't like besides the Amazons. This was the only other reason why I never got max on the. I never even tried for getting max on the World Cup. I got like to 22, I believe, level 22, and then I just stopped because I kept going up and down in the rankings. I kept getting to 23 and then dropping to 23. You wanna know why? Because of this stupid shit. Because the Sylvans and like Amazons. I got sick of seeing that. It was so stupid. I got sick of seeing it. Oh, dude, you could build around it like the Juka. And it was never about like the building around. I could build around it, yeah. But it was all random shit. it was just random RNG. I'd either have to draw the stuff that could destroy the cards, or I'd have to draw things that could wouldn't mind being banished, and that's kind of hard to do. That's really RNG. Both of these decks are really RNG, and I just hated losing to RNG because often than not they'd have the higher win ratio, the Sylvans and the Amazons. But why this is so important with Rose Lover and Sylvan being on list, now they have to either choose to run 2 Rose Lovers or 2 Martial Leaf. They can't like have high summoning potential now with and like high monster clear. They either have to choose the monster clear or the special summon, and when you're running a plant deck, you gotta have the special summon. So I think what they'll like most decks will run now is either run 2 Rose Lovers and 2 Martial Leaf. Hopefully the popular one is Rose Lover, because I'd much rather deal with multiple summons than I would with having my board just completely cleared. I think this pretty much makes it either the opponent has to choose OTKing right away or just being able to clear stuff annoyingly. I think that's what a Sylvan player has to choose from now. I'm just happy it's done, because that was just too RNG. That was just too good of a win ratio. It's too good of a deck to just clear the board without even trying. Amazon Onslaught got nerfed to the semi-limited list. Like if you pick any of the semi-limited, you can only have a maximum of 2 cards. If you had like 1 Marshall or 1 Rose Lover, yada yada. You can't just have 2 on Amazon Onslaughts, 2 Sylvan, what have you. It's once you have 2 copies of any given limited card in a deck, that means you've reached your max for that specific category, like Deuce. This is really, really nice. The problem with Amazon Onslaught at 3 was it wasn't easy clearing. Like there wasn't. Like you could do, I think 2 is clearable once you can easily take out 2, but 3 was a lot. Like you'd have to have like the perfect hand to get rid of the trap spell. It's very, very important that you get rid of the spell rather than just like fighting the Amazons head on, because whenever you fight the Amazon, it just banishes your monster after the battle step, and you can see how much of a problem that was. It pretty much left your board wide open, and the Amazons could have all 3 on the board filled and just kill you. Or they have like Amazon as queen and you can't even destroy them and they'd still clean your board. So this at 2, I'm happy to see it, because I feel like 2 brings a mixture of fairness, and the opponent just has to clear that first. I feel like 2 is fine. This deck never needed 3. 3 was way too much. And to see this at 2 is fair. I think this is a fair nerf to Amazons. It's too good of a card, because it basically got 3 effects out of it, I do believe. It can special summon an Amazon, it gains 500 attack, and you can special summon after it left to the graveyard. It's basically a monster reborn once it's destroyed for the archetype. It's just a crazy card. Cyber Petite Angel was hit with 2. You can only have 2, but since it's on the list, obviously, I mean, when you say you can only have 2, it's only a level up reward. It's not something you can grind. But since it's on a semi-limited list now you kind of have to have only 1 Econ and 1 Cyber Angel if you want to do that whole thing. You can't just have 2 Cyber Angels and then 3 Econs. Nah, you gotta choose like 2 Cyber Petites, or 2 Econs, or 1 Econ or 1 Cyber Petite. You have to have that choice now. A lot of high level ranking players don't see this as too much of a nerf, if anything, non-existent, because there are other cards that do its job anyway. Like Gashiki Chain, 1,000 Arms, and Sonic Bird. There was a lot of things that could do its thing. Obviously, it's still nice to have this one, because you can actually choose which one you want for the archetype, which ritual spell you want for the Cyber Angel. That's obviously nice. I think Dakini's still on this semi-limited list, or I can't remember if that was hit with 1, but yeah, it's just kind of conflictions with that. Pulse Mines is now on the semi-limited list, so you can't run like Pulse Mines and then like a bunch of Econs. You can only run a maximum of 2 of any of the limited list. This is a really powerful card. I can't believe that this was even in the game. Like, someone actually made this card. This card is busted. It's such an amazing card. It goes well with so many machine decks. This includes I think they're called Geiga Gears. They're very popular archetype at the moment, top tier, because they have phenomenal board clearing, and with this card, it made everything really, really easy for them. They didn't have to try too much, especially if they're running 3 of this card. It's also great for Karakuri decks. I'm currently working on a Karakuri deck right now on my other file. I play like 2 free-to-play accounts, and the other one has a bunch of different cards, so different video making. Obviously, I have different opportunities to make decks and make videos about it. But this is great for Karakuri cards. A lot of people don't like the fact that the Karakuri is changed to defense position, but I think there's a bunch of support cards nowadays where it doesn't even matter, and it actually plays out in their benefit. It seems weird for an archetype to benefit from switching into defense position, but there's a whole bunch of support cards for the archetype that benefit off it, or like kind of bait your opponent into attacking them. Like this card, for example. Or like just adds on protection. Doesn't even matter that they're in defense position at that point. There's just opportunities for it. It's such a good archetype. Or like the Pulse Mines is such a good card, I mean. It gets you out of a lot of situations, and it prevents your opponent from doing anything more for that turn. Destiny Hero Celestial is nerfed to 2, or is on the semi-limited list now. I think in terms of a Destiny Hero deck, between the Econs and this, I think people would still sell it, but we'll probably just pick up the 2 Celestials. Like, obviously, you'd want 2 of these. It did get a huge nerf that it's not going to be able to be at 3, but I feel like someone could, like, the decks can run alternatives besides Celestial. Let's see here. But yeah, this is kind of a I don't know if it's too big of a nerf. I think maybe in the drawing aspect for the archetype, for not being able to do the hero change plays as much, probably. No longer on the list anymore is Red Eye Spirit, so now you can walk around with 3 copies of Red Eye Spirit. I feel like people will walk around with the Red Eyes decks again. It was so huge of a nerf for that time period on Red Eye Spirit, because the archetype was really, really easy to pull because there wasn't much field removal at the time. Now that you can run it 3 again, I feel like people will start running the deck again. I feel like it's going to be... like, it's not a big deal since there is field clear. I just wonder how the players will deal with it, I wonder how Red Eyes players are going to deal with the new field clear nowadays, and how they're going to react to that. But I feel like 3 again is nice for the archetype. I feel like nowadays it's not too big of a deal that you can run 3 Red Eye Spirit. It just means you have to kill Red Eyes a lot. Like, if you're dealing with a Red Eyes deck, you have to kill Red Eyes a lot. And the nice thing is, this is non-specific, like, it's just a Red Eyes monster. That means you can bring back your fusion Red Eyes. That's busted. That's gonna be really busted, but that's gonna be really strong. So if you have like the Red Eyes Warrior fusion, that's gonna be strong. Really, really good. I never really understood why Red Eyes Black Chick was always the exception. I don't know why the special summons or the cards relating to it never let you proc it. So it's always been a mystery to me. But yeah, that's it for the limited/ban list. Let me know what you think of the changes. I think they're much deserved, like the rest of the community believes so too. I'm Dib the Awesome, and thank you very much for watching this video. I will catch you guys later.